What is up guys, Eric here from Real Film Reviews bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Jason Sudeikis film, Race. Race is a biopic of the great track and field star Jesse Owens and his 1936 trip to the Nazi-occupied Berlin Olympics. Now, Stephen James plays Jesse Owens in this film, and after looking at the other things that he's been in, he seems to be a relative unknown. He's done a few other big things, but I think this is his first big role, supposed to be his breakout role. And honestly, I think he gives a very solid performance as the man that was Jesse Owens. It's nothing Oscar-worthy, but I think that this will push his career forward, and I think that he by far gives the best performance in this entire film. In terms of the supporting cast, there isn't really anyone that blew me out of the water. Jason Sudeikis gives his first dramatic performance in this film, and he does do a good job in this movie. I really enjoyed his chemistry with the Jesse Owens character. He plays Larry Snyder, which was Jesse Owens' coach at Ohio State, but overall, he doesn't give an Oscar-worthy performance, but I would like to see him try more dramatic roles in the future, because I feel he does have promise in that aspect. I feel that this movie was more about the movie not being that good, rather than his performance not being that good. Now, to start with, as a history buff, is part of the reason that I really wanted to go see this movie, because Jesse Owens is a story that I feel like is taught at most schools, but we've never gotten a movie about it, so I was really excited to see this movie, and I think that this movie does do justice to the story of Jesse Owens, and I also enjoy the fact that it doesn't only focus on Jesse Owens' life. It moves into other things that went on in the 1936 Olympics, so you do get some other backstory. It's not just a solo story about him, which I really enjoyed. This is just a great story of a great American, and it really deserved to be told well on screen. Now, in terms of the things that are wrong with this movie, they are very big things wrong. They aren't little small details that only happen in a couple scenes, which is really upsetting, and the main issue seems to be the direction of this movie. Stephen Hopkins, best known for Predator 2 fame, so now you know what we're working with, was handed the helm of this film and decided for some reason to do a lot of wide, overhead shots of these stadiums that are completely CGI, and other shots of skyscrapers and buildings and all this stuff that I don't understand why he chose that. If you know you have the budget, or that you can't afford to make a great CGI building or great CGI overhead shots of these stadiums, why do them? Because they don't look good, and they happen consistently throughout this film, and there's very few of them even look semi-realistic. And as I said earlier, as a history buff, there is some history in this movie that is wrong. I didn't go back and look up all of the history of the Jesse Owens story, but just general history of the Nazi Party in Germany. The ending part is much more accurate, but the very beginning, when we first get to see Germany, is not entirely accurate to what was going on there at that time. It's not that big of a deal because it's getting across the point of what was going to happen and the discrimination that was taking place in Germany, though I think that they overdid it a little bit, because if you know the actual history, you know that all of that they show in the film, which I don't want to give away, was not happening immediately when the Nazis took power. But by far, the biggest thing that is wrong with this movie is the green screen. There is an insane amount of green screen in this film. It seems like most of this movie was shot on a soundstage, which I personally don't understand. You could rent out a stadium. No one knows what Ohio State Stadium looked like in the 1930s. I don't care what stadium you're at. You can be at a local stadium, but film it there. There's so many shots that take place in stadiums or in cities or places that just is the character sitting there, and it's so clearly green screen. They didn't get all the spill from the light that's bouncing the green onto the people, and you can still see the green hue around them. And there's one character in particular who has rather frizzy hair, which is a very hard thing for a green screen to get all of the green out of, and you can see the green in her hair a little bit. Granted, it's only one scene, but that's such a bad thing to have in a major motion picture. Like, you should notice those things when you watch it and say, hey guys, we really need to try to work to get that down more, because there's more they could have done. I'm sure there is. And I really don't understand why it was so poorly made in that aspect. It seems like you could very easily find a location to film these shots where most of them, the background is just a stadium. You could use any stadium. You don't have to do it at a green screen. The Olympic shots, I understand, because they're full crowds and you have to animate that. But the other shots where it's empty stadiums, where they're just practicing track, I don't understand why you would use a green screen instead of just going to a freaking track. I'm gonna give Race a C+. This is a great story about a great American and a great athlete, but I feel that this movie just didn't quite do it justice. I think that there were definitely struggles in the direction aspect, 100%. There possibly were budgetary issues, and I think that that really hurt this film overall. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Race, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.